Hey guys, welcome to another top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 best and worst superhero movies. Yes, this is an updated top 10 list I'm doing. I did this list right in the beginning when I started YouTube. Oh my god, don't watch that video. It's terrible, but my opinions have differed in some ways and stuff, and some orders from some movies are different from that old list I did back in like 2014 and stuff. Oh god, what a cringy video. Also, like, new superhero movies have come out because we live in a day and age where everything is superhero movies. It's actually getting a little tiring, but nevertheless, there's a lot of great ones, and I'm going to talk about my favorites, or what I think, in my opinion, are the best. Best doesn't mean objectively, this is subjectively. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. So let's get to it. Here are my top 10 favorite or best superhero movies, in my opinion. Let's start with some honorable mentions. The first one is Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Very close to making the top 10 list. It is a damn good MCU film. Anything with the Russo brothers directing is great. The Captain America 4-part series, 3-part series. I said 4. Why did I say 4? I guess I was including Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which doesn't count for me, but the Captain America trilogy is just a solid trilogy. Guardians of the Galaxy is another one that almost made my top 10 list. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's just such a fun popcorn action film. It's a blast. Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a great animated series. Beautiful animation, and it's a great introduction on the big screen for Miles Morales. It's awesome. First Iron Man started it all. It's a great movie. And the one that is going to make everybody's jaws drop right here, The Dark Knight. The reason that's going to make everyone's jaws drop is because that was my number one. My number one on my last top 10 best superhero movies. And it's not even making the top 10. It's only making the honorable mention. It's number 11. The reason I'm not putting Dark Knight at number one, and the reason it's not my favorite anymore, is because over time I've been watching The Dark Knight. It shows its flaws more for me, and for some reason it doesn't have as much watchability factor. And I've seen the movie dozens of times because when it first came out in 2008, I watched the DVD over and over and over again. So I've seen it a lot. There is a lot of poor choices in the movie. That still doesn't take away the fact that it's a great film. It is a great film. It's just people overpraise it, and that might also give it a little, negativity for me because it's like overhyped. And I don't know. It's a great movie, but I just feel like these other films I'm going to talk about in my top 10 list, I'd rather watch them over The Dark Knight. Because I've seen The Dark Knight so many times. Just anyone who asks, like, oh, if someone's like over at my house, they're like, hey, you want to watch The Dark Knight? I'm like, not really. I've seen it so many times, it's like, I don't want to watch it anymore. Even though it is a great film. And I can understand when people say it's the greatest superhero film ever made. I know where people are coming from when they say that, so, yeah. Anyways, number 10, Watchmen. Watchmen is an underappreciated superhero movie. Still, even after the HBO series, people are saying now the HBO series is better than the Watchmen movie. It's not at all. But the Watchmen movie is a terrific adaptation of the Alan Moore graphic novel, and it's done spectacularly. It's wonderfully acted by a cast that isn't even like an A-list cast. They got like Billy Crudup, Jeffrey D. Morgan, Mullen Ackerman. They didn't, and Matthew Good. Like, they didn't get like huge stars. They got like B-listers, and they all were great. Patrick Wilson as well. And the reason I guess they thought of that, like, well, it's like kind of like a B-list comic book, even though it's not. It's like an A-plus comic book series. But a lot of people just don't know about Watchmen, so they're like, we're not gonna get like a big cast, but the cast that they got worked. And this entire movie feels like the graphic novel put on the screen. and the characters are so brilliantly done, and just the writing is so good, and just I absolutely adore this movie, and wow, it's fantastic. And even still to this day, like I watched it like 6 months ago, and still blew me away. Since the moment I saw it in theaters, it's always blown me away. It's a great movie. Number 9, Superman, 1978. This movie has its issues. Like, The Dark Knight has its issues. There's a lot of things they stray away from the comic books for Superman. But it has so much charm, this Superman movie. Christopher Reeve is the best Superman. And, I'm not against, Henry Cavill. A lot against Brandon Routh. But, Christopher Reeve just brought to life Superman, the character of Superman. He's a great Clark Kent, and he's a great Superman. I love the backstory, but they also go into the modern story of Superman and Clark Kent working at the Daily Planet with Lois Lane, and then the villain Lex Luthor and stuff. And then you have the beginning with Krypton and Jor-El, played by Marlon Brando. You even get to see General Zod in the movie, played amazingly by Terrence Stamp. Just they put a lot in this 2.5-hour movie, and it works. It doesn't feel jumbled or convoluted. It all works. It's also funny. It's got good action for a 70s movie. There's things that make no sense. There's some really corny stuff in it, but I think the movie is solid, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Number 8, Captain America Civil War. I just talked about the trilogy. This is the best of the trilogy, the Captain America trilogy, Civil War. It's such a great conflict movie about the inner struggles of all these heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this time. It's literally just about this guy, Zemo, who wants the Avengers to turn on each other, and that's exactly what happens, and it's fantastic. It's all about disagreements, about how we should trust the government and not trust the government, how what we doing are what we doing, is it right, or should we be put in check? Should we be watched by people and stuff? It's got a lot of great conversations in this movie. There's some great writing and wonderful performances, especially by Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. They're both on their A game in this movie. And it's got great action. There's good Marvel laughs, but they don't ruin the movie like a lot of the Marvel movies are doing now. But it's a really good film. And it's a very serious movie, and it gets really dark, and I really, really enjoy that. And I respect the Russo brothers, what they did with this movie. And it's one of my favorites. Number 7, Batman, 1989. I love Batman's my favorite superhero of all time. It's cliched. I know it's a lot of people's favorites, but he's an interesting character. And this movie is great. It's the first movie to actually take Batman's story seriously on the big screen, because all we had was the Adam West show and the Adam West movie. This is what brought Batman into more of a serious and darker tone, and I really, really love this movie. I grew up with this movie as a kid, always loved it, and I still love it. Could be nostalgia, maybe, but I still love it. I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I love Jack Nicholson's Joker. I even like Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger. I love how they did Alfred. I love how they did Gotham City. It's just a fun movie, and also Danny Elfman's score. It overbeats. I think it beats Hans Zimmer's Dark Knight score. Just saying, but yeah, I love Batman 1989. Number 6, Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man's another one. I grew up with Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man. Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire was great. Spider-Man 2 though, even better. Sam Raimi put a lot of horror elements in it, and they brought in Dr. Octavius. Alfred Molina is fantastic. I love that this movie talks a lot about Peter Parker's struggles and how he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. He doesn't want to have this responsibility anymore. It's a great story about inner conflict, about what it means to be a hero. It also has this great speech by Aunt May.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride.
That is probably one of my favorite scenes in superhero movies. And it's a great movie with great action scenes, and I don't know. Something about Spider-Man 2 just always makes me feel uplifted. It's one of the most uplifting superhero films ever made. So yeah, Spider-Man 2. Number 5 is a tie, and there I include these movies together because they're almost like Harry Potter Death Tales Part 1 and 2, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. It's almost like a Part 1 and 2. And that is Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. I put them both together because they're like one huge 5-6 hour movie. Because they literally take place right after each other. And it's the Thanos story. The beginning is Thanos and the ending is Thanos. And it's one giant movie. These two films by the Russo brothers, and it's an epic conclusion. To me, it's the end. It's the end story for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But of course, Marvel's still going, and they're sucking. But this like all out war is amazing. Infinity War is like more of the action film. Endgame's more of the dramatic film, and they're both done beautifully. The performances by almost everyone is great. Everybody gets their time to shine, and just Thanos is like the ultimate bad guy in the Marvel comics. It's fantastic. These two movies. There's emotion, there's laughs, there's action, there's darkness and greenness to it. It's just an all around kick ass conclusion to the MCU. Well, I wish it was a conclusion. Number 4, an animated film, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. This is another one I grew up with. I love this movie. Kevin Conroy is one of my favorite Batmans as well. Michael Keaton may be my favorite Batman in the live action, but Kevin Conroy is like the great Batman. Whether it's the animated series, the video games, or Mask of the Phantasm. What a great movie. It's a great romance movie, but also a great mystery with great twists and turns, stellar animation. And again, it's a great movie to watch while you're watching the animated series. The animated series is one of the great superhero shows, and this movie is just no exception of greatness. It's amazing. Number 3 is one of the most underrated superhero movies, and it's a movie I never talk about, and I'm shocked that I never talk about this. I literally just watched it again this Halloween season because it's a Halloween movie, and I've always loved it my whole life. But after like rewatching it just a couple days ago, I'm like, this movie's fucking fantastic. This is like one of my favorite superhero movies, and why do I never talk about it? And that's The Crow. Yes, the 90s movie The Crow starring Brandon Lee is a great superhero movie. It is dark, brutal, gothic, in your face, fucked up, and I love every second of it. Brandon Lee was gone too soon. He's amazing in this movie. I love his character of the Crow. I love how intimidating and crazy he is. I love that he is, in a way, like an anti-hero. He's brought back on the Devil's Night to get revenge on the men who killed him and his fiancée. Oh my god, what a crazy guy. I love him. I love Brandon Lee. I love Ernie Hudson in the movie. I love the kid in the movie. She's great. The villain is fantastic. The world, this like really dark and gritty, is really great. This movie is just so gothic and dark and bleak, and it's so heavy metal as well. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's like a gothic person's wet dream. This movie, I love it. And it's a great movie to watch like during the Halloween season and stuff. So I think The Crow is one of the most underrated superhero movies of all time. Number 2, Logan. Easily Logan. I have a whole review back when I did the review in 2017. My thoughts have not changed. It's an amazing modern Western film. Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, incredible. Daphne Keane, she's amazing. It's brutal, it's violent, it's emotional. Hits all the beats that I want in a superhero movie. Good job, X-Men. Number 1, what's my favorite? It was my number 2 in my last video for when I did the top 10 best superhero movies. It's my number 1 now. Batman Begins. Batman Begins is the best origin story I have seen. Easily. It's a great origin story. It's well written, it's well directed, it's well executed. I love Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne. his Batman is pretty good. I like his Batman a lot. I love he is my favorite Bruce Wayne. So I have Christian Bale as the best Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton as the best live action Batman, and Kevin Conroy as the best animated Batman. I just love this story. I love that they brought like Batman into the real world in a way it's like a realistic Batman story, and I like this movie more than The Dark Knight. I really do. I think it's more interesting. I love more of the trials Bruce Wayne has to go through, and it's about Batman, and he doesn't get overshadowed in the movie because The Dark Knight has like Harvey Dent and Joker, who are both like outshining Batman in the movie, and Batman's just kind of there. And every scene with Batman, The Dark Knight, is like kind of boring. But when Batman Begins, all the Batman stuff's the best part, and his story is interesting, and you're rooting for Batman and stuff. And I love like the villains like Falcone, played by Tom Wilkinson, and Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow. They're both really great in this movie, and Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. Like, they're all done very well, and I love showing the training of Bruce Wayne coming into Batman and stuff. Michael Caine also is great as Alfred. Margaret Freeman is fantastic as Lucius Fox, and just everything about this movie is just done perfectly for me. And to me, it's like the best Batman movie for me. But again, people like The Dark Knight, they more gravitate towards that, which is cool, but Batman Begins, all-time fave. So yeah, that was my top 10 best superhero movies in my opinion. So in the comment section below, please tell me what is your top 10 favorite superhero movies in your guys' opinion. Let me know. Comment below, let me know. And as always, for this video, please subscribe to the channel and join the dark side.